shocking political scandal, and the resurgence of the conservative faction on Channel Escandre. The story begins with a somber and alarming picture of Representative Jang Dong-hyuk's rapidly deteriorating health as his hunger strike enters its sixth day. The current situation is described as having reached the final limits of human endurance, as Mr. Jang Dong-hyuk resolutely refuses to ingest anything into his body except water. Doctors monitoring his health have issued grave medical warnings that his muscles are wasting away at a dizzying speed, and his body's fat reserves are also being burned off rapidly, making it incredibly difficult for him to stand on his own or hold out much longer. A deeper biological analysis reveals that when a person fasts for 3 to 5 days, the essential energy reserves inside the body become completely depleted, leading to a high risk of shock, rapid pulse, and immense pressure weighing on the heart. This detail not only demonstrates the brutal harshness of the physical struggle, but also highlights Jang Dong-hyuk's iron will, creating a heartbreaking contrast with the ruthless political machinations occurring outside. While a politician's life hangs by a thread every minute, a wave of outrage has erupted following the actions of a former lawmaker from the Democratic Party who publicly uttered a curse, wishing for Jang Dong-hyuk to die. The root cause of this grueling hunger strike is Jang Dong-hyuk's desire to protest the dominance and tyranny of the Democratic Party while demanding the passage of special investigations related to the Unification Church and the Democratic Party's nomination donation funds. However, instead of receiving dialogue or minimal respect, lawmaker Kim Kyu-jeon of the Democratic Party appeared on the YouTube channel News Engine and delivered extremely toxic and inhumane remarks. He stated that they should just let Jang Dong-hyuk fast until the end, eat salt, fall into the water, faint foaming at the mouth, be carried to the hospital, and that it would be better if he died. The cruelty reached its peak when this figure asserted that wishing for Jang Dong-hyuk's death was his honest feeling and not an act. Not stopping there, the host, Kim Hye-seong, joined in by mimicking the tone of Lee Hae-hoon to scream bitter words, "I really want you to die," in a direct attack on Jang Dong-hyuk. This action demonstrates a severe degradation in political debate culture, where human life is treated as a joke and a tool for insults to satisfy personal animosity. These toxic remarks were rationalized as an attempt to represent the thoughts of Han Dong-hoon, citing that there was no need to visit the hunger strike site. But the crude manner of expression caused a major ethical controversy. This former lawmaker even disparaged the political significance of the hunger strike, mocking Jang Dong-hyuk for faking death to play the role of a martyr after attacking Han Dong-hoon, and calling the act of pitching a tent inside the National Assembly the action of a madman. To clarify the portrait of the person making these shocking statements, the video provides a profile of Kim Hyong-ju, a former 17th-term lawmaker who was elected in the Gwangjin district of Seoul under the Uri Party banner in 2004. He once served as chairman of the Youth Unemployment Countermeasures Committee and was appointed vice mayor for political affairs of Seoul under Park Won-soon in 2011, but was later arrested for bribery in 2014. Currently, he serves as the chairman of the Blockhain Industry Promotion Association and operates as a commentator on TV channels and YouTube. Bringing up the spokesperson's criminal past is a sharp counterattack, implying that these moral criticisms originate from a person of questionable character and quality. Faced with this inhumane attack, the spokesperson for the People Power Party, Park Min-young, spoke out vehemently in opposition, stating that no matter how heated the debate, cursing another person to die is a shocking and unacceptable act. Park Min-young affirmed that this would be treated as a serious issue and demanded a formal apology. Meanwhile, public opinion on online communities and social networks also surged with criticism, labeling this action a serious human rights violation for publicly wishing for the death of someone currently on a hunger strike. While Jang Dong-hyuk is gambling with his life to fight, the Democratic Party maintains an attitude of complete ignorance with a strategy of indifference, offering no response regarding the special investigation demands. This callous indifference has enraged the public, leading to the sentiment that his political opponents have lost their humanity when, instead of offering encouragement or finding a solution, they wish for the death of their adversary. However, an interesting paradox occurred when the opponent's cruelty and curses became a powerful catalyst that helped the internal factions of the People Power Party unite more tightly than ever before. Although Han Dong-hoon's apology regarding the internal bulletin board incident is still viewed by the opposing faction as lacking sincerity, Jang Dong-hyok's tragic and heroic hunger strike has caused members to set aside conflicts to rally their forces. The number of party members has surpassed the 1 million mark, and lawmakers are continuously flocking to the Rotunda Hall to sit with Jang Dong-hyok, demonstrating absolute support. Notably, Supreme Council member Kim Jae-won has also begun a sympathetic hunger strike, creating a powerful ripple effect throughout the party. On his personal page, Jang Dong-hyok shared emotional handwritten lines comparing himself to a broken rose stem that will still bloom on his face, affirming an indomitable fighting spirit even as his body deteriorates to its limit. This event also attracted the special attention of Lee Jun-seok, who decided to move his schedule to visit the central region up by 2 days in order to visit Jang Dong-hyok's hunger strike site, demonstrating the gathering and unity of the entire conservative wing in the face of a major crisis. The political effect of the hunger strike is clearly demonstrated through statistical figures. The number of dues-paying party members skyrocketed from 750,000 to over 1 million as of the 19th, a record number in the party's history. Specifically, the results of a Real Meter public opinion poll conducted from the 15th to the 16th showed that support for the People Power Party rose to 37%, and in the Daegu and Gyeongbuk regions alone, this figure skyrocketed by more than 15 percentage points to reach 60.6%. This proves that voter anger over the toxic curses of the opposition has transformed into strong votes of support for Jang Dong-hyok and his party. The story concludes with a meaningful comparison between the hunger strike of Lee Jae-myung in the past, which was perceived as a performance, and the genuine and painful sacrifice of Jang Dong-hyok now, affirming that the legitimacy and moral strength of the ruling party are being increasingly solidified. Based on these dramatic developments regarding health and the shift in public opinion, I predict that in the coming days, political pressure will weigh heavily back upon the Democratic Party. The fact that one of their members publicly wished for an opponent's death has seriously violated Asian cultural and moral standards, which will cause neutral voters to turn their backs on them. Jang Dong-hyok may have to be hospitalized in a critical, unconscious state, but the image of him collapsing in the assembly hall will act as a powerful symbol of martyrdom, triggering larger waves of protests from the conservative faction and freedom supporters. To soothe the seething public opinion, the Democratic Party will be forced to offer some concessions regarding the special investigation requests or, at the very least, strictly discipline those who uttered the curses if they do not want to completely lose their moral standing in future polls. This story is clear proof that in politics, cruelty is sometimes a double-edged sword that helps the opponent become stronger thanks to public empathy and the power of internal unity. Will the Democratic Party continue to ignore this, or will they be forced to bow before the power of compassion and the people's outrage? What do you think about this act of cursing a political opponent? And will Jang Dong-hyok achieve his goal? Please leave a comment below for us to discuss. And don't forget to follow channel ESQ Andre for the next shocking updates.